Should you dropship in the US from abroad? So this means that you could be from Canada, Mexico, UK, Spain, Russia, Israel, Australia, anywhere in the world. And would you or should you dropship in the US? So the question and the answer is yes. Absolutely, you should be dropshipping in the US if you don't want to dropship in a country where it's more established. So in terms of the countries by GDP, we essentially just want to, if you're gonna be drop shipping, you want to find a country that has high GDP. So right now, US has the highest GDP. I haven't seen anyone really do high ticket drop shipping in China, so this is super interesting. Someone could try. Uh, I could potentially try, but I think it's just logistically complex. Uh, you know, it's the not because of the economy, but like just setting up business there would probably be a little more complex as a U.S. citizen. Japan actually has a third highest GDP, which is wow, interesting. So I did not really expect like this list. This is as of 2023. So things could have changed, but it looks like Japan, Germany, India, UK. I thought UK was like a little bit higher up, but any of these countries, like on the top 10 list, or even all the way down to Australia, you can 100% dropship in those countries. The the thing with dropshipping in a country where the GDP is lower, like this GDP is 1 trillion and the US is 25 trillion. So the US as of 2022 is 25 times the GDP of Australia. So if you're going to be starting a store in one of those lower GDP countries because the population is lower, then you ideally want to have a store that's more broad. So a store, let's say, that in the U.S. where you could have a store around like just pool gym equipment is pretty niche. But since the GDP is pretty high in the U.S. or it's the number one in the world right now, then by all means you have the biggest market. You should have no problem doing it in the U.S. But in something like Australia, you might want to target just like a gym, anything related to gym. So it could be even sports if you want to go a little bit more broad, but don't have an Amazon type store that's way too broad. So any of these countries, you know, 100% you could start a business in based on the GDP level, and you can also drop in the U.S. from abroad. So let's say you're Japanese, let's say you're Indian, let's say you're from the UK, let's say you're France, any of these countries on this list, or even probably every single country on this list, if you can set up a US LLC, you can sell in the US. We have clients inside the program that are from Singapore, Israel, UK, Canada. From the top of my head, there's probably other places in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. So we have clients all over the world, and they're all, for the most part, selling in the US. So the steps to sell in the US from abroad is really just, I highly recommend just using Buffalo registered agent to set up your LLC. I have a free course on how to set up your LLC from abroad. It's on School, so that link will be down in the description below, along with if you want to apply to work with my team and I to build a high ticket e-commerce store to 10K a month profit guaranteed or money back. So that is all down in the description below if you want to check it out. But to set up a business and sell from abroad to the US, all you need to do is just set up a Wyoming registered agent LLC. Just go to form an LLC or incorporation, and then company name, just put that in there. So like, for example, you could do your initials, stores, LLC, something like that. So you actually don't need LLC in the company name. I would remove that. Alternative company name, leave that blank. Notify your attorney of a lawsuit. Yes. Or attorney email. So if you have an attorney, you can put it in there, but I'm assuming most people don't. And for the most part, I haven't seen anyone get a lawsuit because of high ticket dropshipping. So you can leave that as no. We'll file your beneficial ownership information for you. That's fine. Wyoming, form a company, so $100 standard state in 3 days. Member managed. So this is where you put your first name and last name. If you have multiple owners, put multiple owners. names inside of there. Wyoming business presence. So what this is like business domain, website SSL. For what I recommend, I would just highly recommend just turning this off because you'll be doing it all yourself. So you don't need any of these optional services. Phone service, no, you don't need that. Corporate supplies, corporate book and seals, you do not need this as well. I'll follow your annual report for you. You can leave that. Tax ID. You need a tax ID to get a resale certificate and do business with USA suppliers. So tax ID. If you have an SSN, meaning you are a US citizen, you check this one. If you are not a US citizen, you need to do tax ID without SSN. Besides that, I would recommend get a Wyoming business address. And also with the Wyoming business address, I recommend a unique suite number. A unique suite number, what that will do is allow you to have a business address that's unique for all other people. So all other people won't have the same business address. And from what I've seen, since a lot of people use Wyoming LLCs, is a lot of people have the free option. And what that does is like if a company, which I've seen, have that same address, end up being a scam company, that gives a bad reputation because you share the same address as that scam company. Even though you're legit, another company had the same address as your company, they ended up being a scam. So that's why I highly recommend never going with a free option. Just it's $49 a year, so it's way worth it to avoid any. If you just make just one sale, one extra, even accessory sale a year, it easily pays for itself. So it's like a no-brainer. So contact name, put in your first name, last name, phone number, the country that you are in, not the LLC address. You don't have that. So just put in the country you're in. Let's say I'm from France. So I just put in all of that information in there. Account setup, email, password, put that in there. And then put in your credit card and just click place order. So it should be right around $357. And the beauty of Wyoming registered agents is a lot of clients of mine that already use this service. It's fairly straightforward in terms of using it. It's like a walkthrough dashboard of how to set up the LLC. Pretty straightforward. I recommend just if you're gonna pick an LLC, do Wyoming, no sales tax. It also has like privacy laws. Of course, I'm not an accountant or a lawyer of any sorts, so do check this by if you have an attorney or someone to ask that information with. But generally, to answer the question, should you dropship in the US from abroad? Absolutely, you should, and you can do that through Buffalo registered agents. If you're in a country like some of these, you can definitely dropship in the country that you're located in. Like Australia, you could definitely have a store in Australia. The competition is probably way lower than the US, but also the GDP is way lower. So it kind of balances itself out. It's ultimately up to you. For me, I'm a US citizen, so the most straightforward way is just to sell in the US. But for you guys, if you're from the UK, you could 100% sell in the UK, or most of our clients do set up a US LLC and sell in the US. I recommend the US just because that's where I have most of my experience with, because the suppliers could be a little bit different in each of these countries. Obviously, I have not dropshipped in Russia, France, India, Germany, so the suppliers could be a little bit different. They might not even know about dropshipping, in which instance I've approached suppliers where I'm like the number one, their first dealer that they're working with. So it is definitely possible. It requires a little bit more work, and a lot of times from the suppliers I've closed, they seem to be a pretty decent seller because there's virtually no competition, which is a good thing. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys answered this video, the question of topic, which is like, should you drop in the US from abroad? If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.